Everybody, it's George with GLG Homes. So it's October 1st, and so I'm on my way up to Maine to go look at some new property. And it's a little after 7 right now. So, got anyway, point is, so this morning before I left, I was working on putting up a new listing for one of my realtor clients. And as always, I'm looking at, the data in the market. So this is about the Connecticut market. Um, And now, if you recall, back earlier this year, we started looking at things like median price value, days on market supply, things like that, when COVID became a problem. And so that's really around the March timeframe, because before that, it was in the news, but we all know that we didn't have the shutdown, for example. So we started looking at what was happening with home prices, because in January, the median price value for Connecticut, so this is all of Connecticut, not one particular county or town, but the median price value across Connecticut was about $216,000, maybe 218,000, one of the two. And we watched it just go up and up and up over each month. And at the end of August, the median price value was stated as $305,000, which compared to, again, like called $216,000 in January, massive jump. Um, well, when August was reported, it was reported at 305,000. So at the end of September, or during September, I was questioning what's going to come next. Are we going to see September as a plateau? Are we going to see yet another increase? Or are we going to see a retraction? Well, they adjusted the August numbers for both supply, what was reported as supply, days on market, sales, and the median price value. And July's median price value was $300,000. August was adjusted to $301,000 from originally being $305,000. September was reported, as of this morning, September was reported as $305,000. So while that may also get adjusted as the weeks go by, because some sales are still being reconciled. So as that may get adjusted, it's not going to get adjusted severely. If it gets adjusted downward, it's not going to be by much. Which all that tells me is that, again, we're going to see this continuing. Now, it's not going up at the same pace and rate that it did in May and June and July, which were just off the charts. But still, you're sitting here after 9 months. You're looking back and you're saying that for the first 9 months of this year, we went from a median price of 216,000 to 305,000. Days on market at this time of year, days on market median is just over 30 days. I think it's 33 days. Supply side, we're down to 3.5 months now. Now, on the supply side, typically when you get out of the summer months, you start to see a slowdown in number of listings anyway, but our supply side is still too low. So all that means is that we're probably going to continue to see strong median price value. Okay, so just price values as a whole are going to continue to remain strong. We're going to continue to see faster sales in terms of reducing that days on market. Things are still going to move quicker than they normally do at this time of year, again, because there's more demand than there is supply. But the other thing that we're going to see, and I think this is going to be the beginning of it, the other thing we're going to see is frustration, because I have literally dozens of buyers that I'm working with who are all saying the same thing. There's nothing out there that I want. There's nothing that I like. I don't see anything. So that's where you start to look at the inventory that actually exists. And this is where the inventory is misleading and where the activity may feel misleading. And what I mean by that is this. So you have people who are sitting there saying, I've had my house on the market for months and I've had showings, but no offers. Or I've had very few showings and I'm not getting the experience that everybody's talking about, where I see these houses flying off the shelf in a day. We still see that, by the way, listings going up and then coming off in one day. The listing I just put up this morning, there's a part of me that wonders how quickly this is going to move, because it's a phenomenal house. It's a beautiful house. I'll have another video about that listing later on to promote it. But the individuals who are complaining about the time on market that they're experiencing, and I was talking to a seller about this just yesterday. They went through this very long period. They had their house on the market. It didn't sell. And unfortunately, I had to have the difficult conversation with them to explain it's because the house is overpriced. See, what a lot of people assume is that just by putting their house on the market, it's going to be sold. No, it's going to be sold when it's priced accordingly to its location, to its function, bedrooms and bathrooms and the flow of the house, to its features and its maintenance. If you have a house that is not on a location that people desire, okay, whether it's an interior lot that nobody can get to, a lot of people like interior lots, but some don't, whether it's a corner lot on a busy intersection, location is going to be something that's what people look at first and foremost. So if it's not in the location that people want, it's going to slow down the sale. If the function of the home, meaning, let's say it's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 baths, 1,500 square foot house, average. Okay. But when you walk in, you walk right into a closet. And I'm not kidding. When you open the door, there's a closet right there. A lot of people don't like that. They want to walk into something that feels more like an entrance. And so that slows down how people look at houses. It causes them to pause. If when they walk in the house, they see that it has this great open concept, but they can't make sense of the space because it's too open. Okay. And that happens. You have people who renovate homes and they make them too open. They blow out everything. Well, now buyers look around and go, well, where do I put stuff? And that's where home staging, by the way, can be a major help. But you have to think about the function of the home. So if you have a house that's been blown open, that may not appeal to everybody. I've heard a lot of buyers say they're looking for places that feel a little bit more formal. Dining rooms are starting to become a little bit of a conversation again. Or maybe the house is really blocky. You have a early 1900s colonial, maybe it was 1920 colonial type thing, maybe Dutch colonial, fantastic house, but those tend to have more of a blocky feel to them. And that's where people look around and say, well, I want to have some of that open concept. Geez, can I open up all these walls? Well, yeah, you can, but now what are you paying for? So if the price of the house is higher than it should be to reflect against either A, how it's set up, meaning the function of the house, bedrooms, bathrooms, the flow of it, where it's located, and then lastly, the features. So if I walk in and I see it's got this great looking fireplace that doesn't work, or it has these really cool looking cabinets, but wait, I realize they've just been painted over a few times and not correctly, and it's got these counters that have frayed edges, and I thought that was like a stone look, but it's not a stone look. Buyers start looking at those things and immediately start knocking down what they want to pay for the house. Okay. And rule of thumb, if you're the seller, rule of thumb, buyers don't want to give you your price. Okay. That's just the way it is. Nobody wants to pay full price for something. You talk to a contractor, the first thing they'll tell you is, why does everybody always ask me if I can cut my rate? Because nobody wants to pay full price for anything. So why would they walk into a house and say, I can't wait to spend every dollar that I have on this house when it doesn't look like it's in great shape? It's not in a place that I really care about. It doesn't make sense to me when I walk through it. And lastly, the maintenance on it, I see just a bunch of stuff that looks like it's from the original owner. And why am I going to pay for all that stuff when it should have been updated? That's the mindset of a buyer. So if you're a seller and you have your house in any one of those situations, that's why your house is selling slower or not at all. And so as I was mentioning, I was talking to this seller just yesterday, and he's really, really frustrated. I had to try to explain to him, your house is overpriced. And it has absolutely nothing to do with location. It's in a phenomenal location. It has absolutely nothing to do with the function and the flow of the house. It's a phenomenal flow. The house makes perfect sense. You walk into it, it's like, yeah, this is great. I can go here. It's got a little bit of an open concept here. Nice, great rooms over here. This is a cool setup over here. Oh, awesome views off the deck. The house is fantastic. It didn't look maintained. Meaning, there were just so many nicks and dings everywhere. We found, areas of the house that had been patched over and not done well. And you could see it immediately. It was visible. And the price of the home was too high based upon that. Because buyers are walking in and going, I feel like I have to do work. I feel like I have to start day one with fixing some things or cleaning these things up. And geez, just this is odd style over here that doesn't match with this style over here. And that room's different than this room. And it doesn't make sense to my eye when I walk through it. This is how buyers think. This is how they walk through houses. They look for the way that they're going to live in that house, not how you lived as a seller. The buyers are looking for how they're going to live in that house. And if it doesn't make sense to them, again, if the location doesn't make sense, if the function of it doesn't make sense, and the flow doesn't make sense, then they start really paying attention to the cosmetics of it. And what we call cosmetic finishes are still expensive. Okay. Somebody says, well, that's just a kitchen. You just got to update the kitchen. Well, an average kitchen will cost you, depending upon the size of it, 10, 12, 15, $20,000 to just do that update. A bathroom, depending upon how big it is and what you need to do to it, you could spend anywhere from a few grand to 10 or 12 grand, easy. I know some people have blown out $20,000 on a bathroom because they just did everything, tiled the whole thing through. Maybe it was overkill, but the point is, quote unquote, cosmetic updates get expensive fast because our taste for how things look, the materials that we want to put in them, is what generates some of that cost. So as a seller, you may be looking at your house and going, well, you can just update the cabinets. I'm going to take the cabinets down. I'm going to remove the countertops. I'm going to move the appliances out. I'm going to patch and paint the walls behind it after I've done the repair. I'm going to bring in the new cabinets, install them. Do I have to affect the flooring? Blah, 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 blah. That just all piles up. So what is a quote unquote simple cosmetic change still costs time and money. And that's how a buyer's going to look at it. So if you've priced a house at $300,000, but the kitchen's not done and the bathrooms aren't done, buyer's going to look at that and say automatically, what if I got $30,000 worth of work here? Well, I don't want to pay $300,000 for something I got to put that money into. Automatically, buyers start saying, I'm going to offer 270. I'm going to offer 280. Some will even go as far as 260, or they won't offer at all. So September sales, kind of going back on the original point of the video, September sales, again, show that we're just in a market that is continuing to be favoring the seller. There's no indication that things are slowing down, but we'll see what happens this month of October. I think we're going to see it plateau, maybe pull back, but it's definitely not going to be a huge retraction if it does. Again, it's August 1st, or October 1st. So if you're selling your house and you're looking at why it's not selling, I would talk to your realtor. If you're doing it on your own, for sale by owner, make sure that you've priced it accordingly. If your realtor is coming into you and saying, geez, I just don't know why it's not selling, you have a heart-to-heart with them and say, look, we got to figure out why this house hasn't sold when others in the market are selling that we think it's comparable to, and because maybe it's really not. And that's not a fun conversation. It's a hard conversation because you're talking about the asset. You're talking about the home that you own, and you're talking about the value you want for it. But if people aren't making offers on the house, or if they're coming in and they're just kind of walking out, they're not leaving feedback of any kind, usually that's an indication that the house is definitely overpriced. So if you're trying to buy in this market, it's rough. I'm not going to deny it. It is a difficult market. I represent multiple buyers who they call me once a week and say, George, please tell me there's something coming up. And there's just nothing. I reach out to my network constantly. There's nothing coming up in their area or what they're looking for. But these are also buyers with very specific interests. So that changes things a little bit. For buyers who are looking for something that's more average, more middle of the road, that average size house with numbers of beds and baths, that inventory is there. But again, this is where you get into is it priced according to the way it's actually set up? And you're still going to see some of that slowing down. So again, it's George at GLG Homes. I'll be putting up another video after I finish this trip up to Maine to go look at this property. Got about half dozen things that we're going to walk through. Some will be rehabs that we try to purchase. Others may just be ones we look to purchase as rentals. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can email me, you can message me, you can call me. It doesn't matter. All the information's in the description below. Or if you're just looking to understand more about the market and you want to just get some questions asked, or you just want to ask some questions, feel free to reach out. But otherwise, have a great day. It's October. It's phenomenal weather. I don't know. The market is unbelievable. So best of luck to everybody with whatever it is you're doing today and whatever you're going to be doing. See you later.